Hey everybody, Nick here, and I got a quick review for you today of the Gerber Dime, which is Gerber's little tiny keychain multi-tool, and it's aimed squarely at the same market as your Leatherman Squirt PS4 or P4. And as you all know, this is one of my favorite multi-tools, and so I'm very interested to see how this stacks up. The first important thing to note is that the price on your Gerber Dime here is about 15 bucks, and your price on this guy is about 30 bucks. So that's a big difference here. But size-wise, just to give you an understanding, this is a US quarter here. This is your Squirt PS4. Here's your Leatherman Wave, your Spyderco Delica, and what the hell, your ZT0452CF. This is not a large tool at all, and it does actually make sense on your keychain. You know, rather than doing a good, bad, and the ugly on this particular tool, because it's just strange, I'm just going to talk you through the tool in general. So all of the tools on here, first off, you got your knife, and the knife isn't a sheepsfoot blade, which is good. It gives you a lot of strength for X-Acto kind of style cuts, and it's a good shape for EDC. But on the bad side, it's really fairly flimsy feeling, and I sure as hell don't trust this steel. And it also came pretty damn dull. I'm not a big fan of the sharpness here because there really isn't much. It's clear that they did try to sharpen it, but yeah. And like all of the tools on this, it's very hard to get in and out. I mean, listen to this. Maybe it's more tactile than audible, we'll see. But it's just not a very good action at all to get these knives out there. On your other side here, you've got a package opening tool, which is a beautiful idea. It's meant to get into the little clamshell packages like the one this came in, except that it's really, really dull. This really couldn't cut anything, let alone a terrible plastic clamshell package. So swing and a miss there, Gerber, and again, really gritty action. On the other side here, you've got a little pry bar slash flathead screwdriver tip, which is fine, but it's very thin for a flathead screwdriver tip, but it's not beefy enough to be a pry bar sort of affair, so I don't really know what they got going on there. On the other side here, you have an interesting combination of a file and a Phillips head screw. Okay, whatever, but the thing is, the file isn't actually abrasive, and yeah, it's just the knurling is a little too smooth for it to really do any abrading. So that's a train wreck too. You've also got yourself a pair of scissors that are really hard to get up out of there. And unlike the scissors on, say, your Victorinox Midnight Manager here, which is another tool that's in the same realm, these are actually fairly smooth to use and contract nicely together. This is, I mean, it does work, but it's really just unpleasant to use, both because these edges are sharp and because the scissors really aren't sharp at all. So I'm not super impressed. Come on, get in there. God damn it. Sorry, this thing's a little frustrating. One big mistake they made here. I mean, the rest of this stuff is a lot of build quality issues. This is a flat-out design mistake. To put the bottle opener out here on the outside means that not only is this little surface going to be jabbing you in the leg all the damn time, but it's also going to interfere with your keys hanging on here, because if you've got your keys on here, your keys can no longer swing over this way, which is just going to bind everything up. It's a really stupid idea to have this external, especially when they could have just as easily put it into the side of this little guy here, or just put a dedicated bottle opener on there. This right here would be a much more compelling multi-tool than with this on here. And even at 15 bucks, they need to be thinking better than that, because that's a just stupid move. And as you can see here, it actually moves around a fair amount. One nice thing that they did include on this that isn't on a lot of your small multi-tools is a pair of tweezers. But the problem is the edges of the tweezers don't really align that well. And so, you know, if I'm trying to grab at something, like for instance, this can't actually grab a hair. Which is an important issue with tweezers, because that's often what you're doing. You're going after an eyelash or a splinter or something like that. So, yes, they included tweezers, and yes, that's a wonderful thing, but the tweezers are just desperately crappy. And so, again, swing and a miss. And then finally, we open this up, you do get yourself a pair of pliers. And for all intents and purposes, these are decent enough pliers. I mean, the fact that they don't really meet up here means that you're likely to shear things off, and that the area that they do meet is not actually knurled, means that you're not going to have a whole lot of friction, especially grabbing on something a little smoother. but, you know, they're pliers and they do meet at the top, which is good. And I imagine they would grab onto nuts and things like that without too much in the way of trouble. You do have some kind of a wire cutter down here, but they're not actually sharp at all. And I'm not even talking like knife sharp. I'm just talking like wire cutter sharp. So, yeah, the action on them, though, is actually fine. I mean, you can see that there's a whole bunch of oil and stuff leaking out of them already. But, you know, the action is okay, and they've got enough spring tension to open back up. So that's a good thing. But ultimately, it's the case that your pliers are better tweezers than your tweezers, which is just strange. So I'm going to shut this again. There we go. Hey, it closed that time. And then I will say that the whole effect is actually, it's a pretty attractive tool, particularly relative to your little Leatherman, which is very blasé. But, oh man, at the end of the day, let's just go to the final verdict. I'm done here. Look, at the end of the day, this is a $15 multi-tool, and they have cut a crap ton of corners to get it there. They've done some things that I appreciate. The sheepsfoot blade is nice. They did try to include tweezers, although they included bad tweezers, and that's nice. And, you know, they tried to make it attractive, and they actually did use Torx screws to put it together and take it apart. So that's good. But the problem is it's just so poorly made. For 15 bucks, you get a really pretty bad multi-tool. You know, it'll function as a multi-tool, and if you needed to buy one of these someplace on a trip where you knew you would be giving it away to somebody at the end, it would probably last the duration of the trip. But it's just a terrible, terrible little tool, especially when for 15 bucks more, you can get your Leatherman Squirt P4, which is a really incredible tool. And that's kind of what's offensive to me. This is just bad, and this is just good. And there's a whole lot more than 15 bucks worth of good here relative to your Gerber. So the Gerber Dime, my final verdict is just don't. No. Bad, bad, bad. This is in the Spyderco bird level of just no. No, 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 no. If you're looking at your Gerber Dime, just don't. No. No, 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 oh, no. And I wish I could be more optimistic, but this is an anti-gem. Such is life. So, if you're in the market for a Gerber Dime, you should consider doing maybe a Victorinox Midnight Manager. If you want something... Oh, and this is heavier than your Squirt P4, which just adds to the joy, and bigger, too. But if you're in the market for your Gerber Dime, just know. Consider your Leatherman Squirt P4 or PS4 if you need the scissors, or maybe a Victorinox Midnight Manager if you need a little less function but a little more portability. And if you actually want, you know, a more meaningful tool, your Leatherman Skeletools and your Waves and things like that. But again, Gerber Dime... Just no. Please, just no. I hope this has been helpful, and for the love of God, no. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day.